Ladies and gentlemen, Jank Nation, we're back here with another video, and today we're showing, because a few weeks ago I know I did how well this controller is, but we're showing how to put the artwork in the R1-B controller. And I want to show you what you need first in order to do this. First, you need screwdrivers, and you definitely need I have my little kit here, which has my X-Acto knife, which is what you need, which is used to cut the circles and stuff for the artwork and stuff like that. But we're going to first start by disassembling the controller. So in order to disassemble the controller, you have to flip it over. It's these little points here you have to take off first. And you just got to take the first layer of this clear case on top. And it's simple. All you need is like a Phillips screwdriver to do it. And you just got to take these couple points off here. That's it. So we'll take our Phillips or flathead, depending on what you got, as long as it can fit in there. Pen off. Simple. And make sure you keep your screws to the side so you won't lose them either. That's definitely going to be key in this when it comes to doing all this. There. There we go. One over here so you can see it. Boom. And the one thing I love about this, it's super easy to do. Like, it doesn't require too many crazy tools to do it. It's stuff you can get at your mom pop like Home Depot or Ace Hardware or anything of that nature. Or Lowe's, depending what area you live in. Cool. And then the last one right here. There we go. Flip it over. And if you did this correctly, these will hang out like this. And these are the leads at the end that they screw into. So make sure you put all this aside so you won't lose none of these screws. Put them in, like, I recommend putting them in like a cup or even a container or something, just so you won't lose it, because these screws can roll around very easy. Lose them. And they come out like so. And that's it. So now that we have done this portion of it now we just take this first layer off and do this. So that's our first layer, and we just put it in between here. So now we need to go on the computer, and there's a Photoshop document on Fightbox for this. So you can do this artwork. So we'll go into Photoshop now and show you how I put the artwork in and printing it out and going for there. So let's do it. So now we're on Photoshop. We can use Photoshop or GIMP in order to do this. So you download from the site Fightbox. This is the when you get your R1-B, and usually there's like a Google Drive box for this Photoshop file. Now it looks a little faint right now, but you can see there's the little circles on here for what you need to put on for your artwork. And all you have to do is drag and drop the artwork here. And I have it hidden right now, but so you can see. But this time we're going to do Gurren Lagann. With Gurren Lagann being my favorite anime, finding a picture with all the transformations was pretty epic for me. So that's why you put it on top, you drag it to the corners, and it's simple as that. And make sure you do the layer that says put artwork here. There's like a layer that will literally says put artwork. You don't see it now because when I did it, change the name for it, but it literally says put artwork here. Now the most important thing you got to do when you print this out, just so it does what it's supposed to do, and this is the most important thing. So this is supposed to be printed on A4 style paper, which is not the regular standard size paper for when you print this stuff out, just so it can fit on the fight stick, whatever. So you gotta go on File, go on to Print, right? And you're not actually printing it out through Photoshop, because if you do it this way, it acts weird. With settings here, hit Print Settings. Make sure it's in landscape mode, right? But here's the key part here. Go under Advance and make sure it should be either A4 or tabloid. One of these two would do it. And then when you go on your printer, make sure it's on the A4 mode too. And you save it and you print it out. Make sure you do that. And that's all you have to do. Save it as the PDF document, open it as PDF and print it out. Make sure it says the same thing, and you're good. So if you've done it correctly, it should look a little something like this. And this is pretty straightforward when it comes to doing this. But I figure I'd tell you that because a lot of people forget to do this portion. And when it prints out, it looks very small and it doesn't work out. And stuff I had to go through when I was initially doing it. It's kind of crazy. But now let's go print this out and see how it looks now. So this is what it looks like. So it seems like we print out correctly. But usually what I do to make sure if this print out correct, and this is pretty straightforward. I take the clear piece or I take the whole fight stick itself and put on right top of it. If it fits like on top where the holes is, you did it right. If it doesn't, you have to reprinting it and double check your settings or whatever. And what we'll do here in this situation, this is the part we take, and this is the part everyone always wants to know. How do I actually cut out the circles? And this is why I say it's important to get an X-Acto knife. Usually I put the clear piece on top and I go around with the X-Acto knife going around in a circle. But make sure you do this on a surface you don't mind cutting into or something hard underneath because X-Acto knives are pretty sharp and might leave cuts. This table doesn't matter because this is like more like a cutting table for me. So it doesn't really matter for me. So that's really important things to do. And the other thing people want to know is how do you do the holes up here? Actually, the funny thing about the holes right up there, I usually take the pieces used at the top. And this is what we unscrewed over. This is the little things that the screws go plug into. I push this through once I put the holes on top. And it punches right through so it doesn't rip or anything like through the paper really badly. But you'll see when I get to that point of thing. But so now that we have that done, let's start cutting into this. Now you got to be really particular about this so you won't mess up. You got to kind of push down and spin like this. But I'll show you how to do it. So let's get into cutting with the X-Acto knife. So now that we have our X-Acto knife, we have our thing pushed. So you like to push your hand on this first. Make sure it doesn't move. And you just kind of cut circle. I'll do a couple of these just so you can see it. And if you go off a little bit, it doesn't matter because I tend to do like a couple of circles around like this. Almost like you're drawing a circle with a pencil. And this is why I say do it X-Acto knife because X-Acto knife is probably the best way of doing it. And see how it just came out like that? Now, there's going to be a little bit of residue inside, but once you punch it through everything, it won't be so bad. And I tend to cut extra just in case. Yeah, trying to do this with scissors is like crazy. The only time you really need scissors is when you cut this down the side right here. And that's pretty self-explanatory, though. Look, see how easy that was. We'll get that later. And make sure you keep your hand planted the whole time so you won't lose on purpose. And the better thing is, and this is good why I cut this side last, because it kind of helps me make sure I'm always in the middle of this. Not the end of the world. As long as you keep your hand firmly on it, it is not so hard when you see it. We'll get this later. So I came out like that. Cool. And you got a sharp enough X-Acto knife, they all should just come out like this. I usually like to make sure these are taken out at the very end, though. But take your time because there's no rush for this. If you rush this, your whole thing will be coming out the way you want it to. There we go. And try to keep it within the circle, because if you do it on the outside, you end up cutting this acrylic a little bit. Make sure you always reposition your hand. I'll do these last bit of circles, and we'll move to the next step. Just so you can get an idea how easy this actually is. I know I make it look seamless. I know you're like, this is crazy, but it's not that bad. See? Just take your time. Just use it as if you're using a pencil. Screwed up that way. This is why I go multiple times, just so I make sure I get it right. And once you feel that, you pull out. There you go. 2 more left. At least on this side. These are done too, by the way. I just haven't pulled them out. For those who are looking like, why didn't you take those out yet? There we go. There we go. And then there's these two up here. Slides out. There we go. So that's basically how you cut them out. Pretty simple. You're going to see a little bit of residue here. I try to tend to cut off the side again just to get it off. But once you put it through the fight box, it won't be that bad. So let's move on. Next up, after we cut, we'll show you what we do after, as far as these holes, after we cut this apart. So now that we cut this thing out, now we can see if this thing will fit if we cut it out properly. And make sure you get a lot of as much of this white residue out as possible. So we push it out and we take some of these little tacks off. And if we do it correctly, it should sit just like this. Okay, we're getting close. There we go. Look at that beaut. And make sure you don't have any extra sets of paper flying underneath this thing too, because you're trying to seal this back up too. Cool. And then after that, we pour our plexiglass on top. And cool. And this is the part where now I show you how to put this through the holes. Then this is the trick you have to do. And I'll also show you how to get rid of all this excess. Actually, I kind of did this on purpose so you can see a little trick to get rid of some of this excess white on it, and which I'm trying to cut into the paint or whatever. So now all you have to do is make sure all this is lined up. And you push through right here. And make sure the plexiglass on top all the way through. Hear that click? That's all you gotta do. That's how I do the holes there. I just have it here. Make sure all the plexiglass and everything lined up. Push straight through. And the reason why I do it like this too, so it's easier. Make sure it's lined up. It's easier to put the hole through the paper this way. And we do this first before you get rid of all the excess residue. And there should be a total of 7 of them. There we go. And that's that. Now we just flip this over and put the screws in. Now this part's going to be a little tricky. Like this. Make sure it's going all the way through. This is by far probably like the hardest part of this whole thing, next to cutting holes. Pretty close. There you go. I think we flipped over properly this time. I don't think we're missing a single one that I know of. Kind of fill it. Just to make sure on the bottom. They're all in. Okay, cool. They're on the first try. So now, you grab the screwdriver we had earlier, which are behind me for some reason, and screw these in. I like to do the corner first so it makes it easier on the rest of them. Make sure it lines up. I usually like to turn counterclockwise first, then clockwise, so make sure it's on properly. And once you do the diagonal ones first, that's my preference. You can go left or right if you want to. But once you get the diagonal ones first, everything else is just pretty simple. Go left so you can fill it. Make sure it's in all the way. There we go. Cool. There we go. On this opposite corner here. Make sure this is up all the way. Push this up. There we go. And there's your example. And all you have to do is put these last three in and go from there. So now that we got all of our screws in, we flip this back over. And look at that. It looks amazing so far. But we still got to get a little bit of this residue off the edges. Now here's the trick to doing this. You can try to get scissors and start squeezing between. But if you have big gaudy scissors like this won't really work as well. Because it's pushing up against this. What I tend to do, I get my X-Acto knife. And kind of go right across the edges. See that? Just kind of scrape it all up. And I do it up against the acrylic. See how clean that looks now? And you do this like a couple times because you won't get it all in the first try. I know in my lab video, a lot of people ask me how do I get the crud off the side. There we go. Sometimes I can get on first time, sometimes I can't. Now we gotta do these edges real quick. Is that first try? Close. Then the last side, which is this edge over here. And if you did right, That's your fight stick. That's my Gurlagon fight stick. It looks gorgeous now, right? And that's it. Hope you like what you're watching. Please like and subscribe. And that's how you make a fight stick. Looks amazing. Pretty simple, right? Y'all have a good one. Bye.